Hey guys, and welcome back to the Laws of Physio YouTube page. This is day 22, of the Practice What I Preach series, and I am a week behind in videos. Much respect to people who do this as a full-time job because do this in conjunction to their full-time job because this is crazy. I don't know how people record, edit, upload, and voiceover and all that kind of stuff in the amount of time that they get. So much respect to you guys, and I understand why you guys get you can make a living off it because you do need all this time to get all the videos and all the content out and make it interesting and whatnot. So yeah, so this was a leg workout from a week ago for me. And again, in this video, I was just keeping it super light, doing about 50%, 50 to 60%, just getting my body again used to being back in the gym. In this video or in this workout, I added on a bit of extra volume just to kind of prime my body for the type of workouts that I will be doing in the future. And I did feel pretty good doing this. So I started off with some squats. I was using my wife's booty bands to engage my glutes a little bit, just because my back was a little bit sore and I want my glutes to be working mostly during these movements. So that's a key thing that I do mention to people if they have back pain is to just work on your glutes and your hips. Your back is mostly used for stability. It's not meant to be like a primary mover. And by back, I mean like your lumbar spine, your lower back. So if you're engaging a lot of movements and you're getting a sore back afterwards, it might be because your hips are either tight or they're not functioning properly. So incorporate a few techniques just to add on a bit more priming or a bit more cueing for certain parts of your body. So the booty band's job is to bring your knees in together so your glutes would activate to open up your legs, and that's one of their movements. Your glute is used to extend your hip, so bring to pretty much stand up, and it's also used to abduct your hip, which is to open up your legs. And these are movements that you do when you naturally do a squat. So adding on a bit of resistance around your knees just kind of cues your body to switch on your glutes a little bit more as you're doing a squat. So very important tip there. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, I've been finding that over the last couple of weeks that I've been pretty fatigued. I think the working out is finally kind of reaching up to me, and I'm not really recovering to the top extent that I should be. So I personally don't sleep as much as I should be. And this is the, Practice What I Preach series. So I should be sleeping more. I'm averaging, 7 hours of sleep a night, which is a lot more than a lot of people. But for the sudden increase in volume, I'm back to pretty much 6 days of training in the gym and 2 days of jiu-jitsu. I need to let my body rest and recover, because if I just keep breaking down, sooner or later all the symptoms and the fatigue is going to come back in, and all that kind of fun, good stuff that you don't really want. So I do want to talk about recovery a little bit. So the best thing you can do for recovery is to sleep. You want to aim for about 7 to 8 hours, 9 hours even, of sleep a night. And that has been shown to give you enough time to recover both mentally, physically, and put your body in a state where it's optimal for health. So I've mentioned this last time. If you drop down to, below 6 hours of sleep, it pretty much triples your chance of heart issues, heart attacks, strokes, all the things that take people's lives too early. So I should really take my own medicine and get some sleep. And I do try to supplement or to facilitate the best rest I can. So a few strategies that you can implement, and this was taken from the Why You Sleep book by Matthew Walker. So he suggests limiting screen time. So you don't want to be using devices close to bed. So you want to give about an hour kind of rest time before you go to sleep. And this is kind of like a sleep routine. I've been trying to incorporate a sleep routine recently. So chamomile tea, it's meant to have a chemical in there that's meant to help you kind of switch off and just relax for the evening. So I have a cup of chamomile tea about half an hour to an hour before I go to sleep. Magnesium is also meant to help with sleep. So if you have a bit of muscle soreness, you can use some topical magnesium. I also ingest some magnesium tablets as well, just to increase that a little bit. And I do find that I do get a better night's rest when I do have my supplements in me. So I don't advocate for it, or I advocate for myself, but not for you. So please check with your doctor before you try anything like that, or try to add any supplements into your life. But yeah, so I do that. If I haven't, then I take a hot shower about an hour or two before I go to sleep. So temperature is meant to be one of the best things you can do, and it's getting researched a lot more now, but temperature is pretty much used to increase recovery and promote growth through different kinds of applications. And they found that if you can decrease your body temperature, you can optimize your sleep. So they recommend dropping the ambient temperature, so which is like the temperature in your room, to below, I think it was at least below 20 degrees. If anything, lower, as low as 18, 17, even 13 degrees. So for me, I've got an air conditioner in my room, and I do the ambient temperature to about 18 degrees. So that's enough to make it feel chilly for us, but it's not enough that the cold is actually forcing me to shiver and forcing me to wake up. So I do find that I rest well when the room is a little bit cooler. At the same time, adapt your clothing to the situation. So for example, my wife, 18 might be a bit too cold for her, so she wears a t-shirt, sometimes long sleeve, sometimes not. And if it's really, really cold, then she wears socks as well. For me, I'm pretty much just in boxes. I need that cool temperature to just help me kind of knock out. And breathing is also used to help induce sleep. So just kind of, a lot of people recommend box breathing. I find that doing sympathetic sighs is a little bit more beneficial for me, and I'll go more in depth into sympathetic sighs now, just because I'm getting towards the end of the video. But box breathing is pretty much 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, and then 4 second hold. So you're following this cyclical breathing, and it's meant to just kind of prime your body and switch your body into preparing for rest and sleep. Box breathing is actually used, according to many podcasts and books that I've read. It's used by Navy SEALs to be able to sleep instantly wherever they are. So that is very beneficial for you guys, and hopefully for myself as well. So I do apologize, these videos are a bit behind, but I do want to get into the routine of uploading them more frequently. So let's see how long I last, because I've got a lot on my plate, and I try to get as much done, but at the same time, you need rest and recovery. So that's your homework for today. So if you like these kinds of videos, please consider leaving a like. And if you wanted to see me progress as I go back to some sort of conditioning, then subscribe and watch me progress in the next few videos. Because I'm getting stronger now, and I feel like I'm pushing more weight, and I'm feeling a lot better. So hope you're having a good day or night wherever you are, and I will catch you guys soon. Take care.